Hello, and welcome to this video on the Louvre, 10 key things to see and its highlights. I just got back from Paris, and this was my second visit to the Louvre, so I'm making this video. The Louvre contains some of the most iconic works of Western art. Most people know about the Mona Lisa, and you might know about the Venus de Milo or Winged Victory, but can you name the fourth or fifth most famous things in the Louvre? Well, stay tuned because we're going to go over the top 10. The Louvre is a French national art museum and is one of the most famous museums in the world. It was the #1 most visited museum in 2023 and 2024, attracting 8.7 million visitors, besting out the Vatican City museums at 6.8 million visitors. And we also include here in this list another museum in Paris, the Musée d'Orsay, that sits at number 11 with 4.9 million visitors. The museum is housed in the Louvre Palace, originally built in the late 12th to 13th century under King Philip II. In 1546, Francis I converted it to the residence of the French kings, and in 1682, Louis XIV moved to Versailles Palace and left the Louvre as a place to display the royal collection. From 1692, it displayed a collection of ancient Greek and Roman sculptures. During the French Revolution, the National Assembly decreed the Louvre to be a national art museum. The museum opened to the public on August 10th, 1793, hosting 537 paintings. The collection was increased under Napoleon through the looting of art in Europe, Egypt, and Syria. The collection was further increased during the reigns of Louis XVIII and Charles X, and during the Second French Empire, the museum gained 20,000 pieces. Today, the Louvre contains 500,000 objects and displays 35,000 works of art divided into 8 curatorial departments: the Decorative Arts, Egyptian Antiquities, Greek, Etruscan, and Roman Antiquities, Islamic Art, Near Eastern Antiquities, Paintings, Prints, Drawings, and Sculpture. It is 652,000 square feet dedicated to the permanent collection, and the Louvre exhibits sculptures, objets d'art, paintings, drawings, and archaeological finds. At any given point in time, approximately 38,000 objects are on display, making it the largest museum in the world. The use of cameras and video recorders is permitted inside, but flash photography is forbidden. So, on to the top 10. In the 10th place here, we have the Lace Maker that was created by the Dutch artist Johan Vermeer and completed in 1670. At just 9.6 inches and by 8.3 inches, or 24.5 centimeters by 21 centimeters, it's the smallest of Vermeer's paintings. As with the astronomer and the geographer, Vermeer carefully studied before he drew. The art of lace making is portrayed closely and accurately. Some people believe Vermeer may have used a camera obscura while composing the work, as many optical effects typical of projection can be seen. In particular, the blurring of the foreground by rendering the areas of the canvas as out of focus. Vermeer suggests a depth of field in a manner unusual of Dutch Baroque painting of the era. The lace is shown as extending from the sewing cushion, contrasted with the precision of the lace she's working on. In 9th place, we have The Death of Serendipalus. The Death of Serendipalus is in French is called La Mort de Serendipal. It was created by the French artist Eugène Delacroix in 1827. It's a Romanticism-era oil painting on canvas based on the tale of Serendipalus, the king of Assyria, from Greek historian Diodorus Siculus' library. The painting is based on the history of the Persian by the Greek historian Ctesias of Cnidus and the tragedy of Sardanapalus by the English poet Lord Byron. Hector Berlioz's cantata Sardanapala and Franz Liszt's opera Sardanapalo, a replica he made in 1844, is on display in the Philadelphia Museum of Art. The painting is about the death of Sardanapalus, who lies on a bed covered in red fabric. Sardanapalus was the legendary king of Syria, an ancient Mesopotamian empire famed for his debauchery. When enemies attacked his palace, he refused to fight. Instead, he ordered that he be burned on an immense pyre together with all the objects of his pleasures, concubines, slaves, horses, and precious items. The painting's chaotic composition, sensuality, and violence were sharply criticized by viewers and journalists when it was first shown. Next up, we have in 8th place the Oath of the Horatii. The Oath of the Horatii, or in French, Le Serment de Horacles, was painted by the French artist Jacques-Louis David, created in 1784 to 1785. It was a huge success with critics, and the public remains a paragon of neoclassical art. The painting increased David's fame, allowing him to take on his own students. It shows a scene from the story of the Horatii and Curatii, which is a Roman legend about a 7th century BC dispute between two warring cities, Rome and Alba Longa, that emphasizes patriotism and self-sacrifice for one's country. Instead of the two cities sending armies to war, they agree to choose 3 men from each city. The victor in that fight will be the victorious city. From Rome, 3 brothers from the Horatii family agree to fight 3 brothers from the family of Alba Longa, the Curatii. The 3 brothers, who are all willing to sacrifice their lives for the good of Rome, stretch their hands toward their father, who holds their swords out to them. Of the 3 Horatii brothers, only Publius will survive the confrontation. Publius kills the other 3 fighters from Alba Longa because he allows the 3 fighters to chase him, causing them to separate from each other, and in turn kills each brother one by one. In the bottom right corner of the painting, a woman is crying seated. She's Camilla, a sister of the Horatii brothers, who is also betrothed to one of the Curatii fighters, and thus she weeps in realization that whatever happens, she'll lose someone she loves. Seeing her weep, the surviving brother Publius kills Camilla for weeping over the enemy. The principal sources for the story behind David's Oath are the first book of Livy in sections 20 to 26, which has been elaborated by Dionysius in Book 3 of his Roman Antiquities. The moment shown in David's painting sprung from his own imagination. And in 7th place, we have The Wedding at Cana, created by Paolo Veronese. The painting depicts a biblical story of the wedding at Cana, where Jesus converts water into red wine, foreshadowing the Eucharist described in the book of John, chapter 2, verse 1 to 11. It is a Mannerist-style work, which is a period from 1520 to 1600 of the late Renaissance. It's gigantic. It's 32 feet wide and 22 feet tall. The oil painting comprehends the stylistic ideal of compositional harmony as practiced by the artists Leonardo, Raphael, and Michelangelo. The art of the High Renaissance from 1490 to 1527 emphasized human figures of ideal proportions, balanced composition, and beauty, whereas Mannerism exaggerated the Renaissance ideals of figure, light, and color, with asymmetric and elegant arrangements achieved by flattening the drawing space and distorting the human figure as an ideal preconception of the subject, rather than as a realistic representation. The visual tension among the elements of the picture and the thematic instability among the human figures in the wedding feast at Cana derived from Veronese's application of the technical artifice, the inclusion of sophisticated cultural codes and symbolism, social, religious, and theologic, at which present a biblical story relevant to the Renaissance viewer and to the contemporary viewer. From the 16th to 18th centuries, the painting hung in the refectory at the San Giorgio Monastery. In 1797, soldiers of the Napoleon's French army plundered the picture as war booty during the Italian campaigns of the French Revolutionary Wars from 1792 to 1802. The pictorial area of the canvas makes the Wedding Feast at Cana the most expansive picture in the paintings in the collection of the Louvre Museum. Next up, we have the Raft of Medusa, or in French, La Radeau de Méduse, and it was created by Theodore Géricault in 1818 to 1819. It's an oil painting of the French Romantic period. He was 27 when he made it, and it became an icon of French Romanticism. This work launched Géricault's career, and it's 16 feet 1 inches by 23 feet 6 inches tall that depicts a moment from the aftermath of the wreck of the French naval frigate Medusa, which ran aground off the coast of today's Mauritania on the 2nd of July, 1816. And on the 5th of July, 1816, at least 150 people were set adrift on a hurriedly constructed craft. All but 15 died in the 13 days before the rescue. Those who survived endured starvation and dehydration and practiced cannibalism. The event became an international scandal because it was in part caused by the incompetence of the French captain. The painting was a subject that had garnered widespread public interest. Before Géricault began work on the final painting, he researched and produced preparatory sketches. He interviewed survivors and constructed a detailed scale model of the raft. He visited hospitals and morgues where he viewed the color and texture of the flesh of the dying and the dead. The painting was controversial when it made its first appearance in 1819, eliciting both praise and condemnation. It established his international reputation as is now seen as a seminal work in the French Romantic painting movement. His painting broke from the calm order of the prevailing neoclassical school, and Géricault's work attracted wide attention from its first showing and was then exhibited in London. The Louvre acquired it soon after his death at the age of 32. The painting influenced the works of Eugene Delacroix, J.M.W. Turner, Gustave Courbet, and Edouard Manet. Next, we have the coronation of Napoleon. The coronation of Napoleon, or in French, La Sacre de Napoléon, was painted by Jacques-Louis David, completed in 1807. He was the official painter of Napoleon, depicting the coronation of Napoleon at Notre Dame, where Napoleon crowned himself and his wife, Emperor and Empress of the French, in the presence of his family and the Pope and dignitaries. The oil painting spans 33 feet wide, or 10 meters by 20 feet tall. The work was commissioned by Napoleon in September 1804, and Jacques-Louis David started the work on the 21st of December in 1805. It was done at the College of Cluny, and David was assisted by Georges Rouget, who made the finishing touches on the painting in January 1808. The painting remained the property of David until 1819, after which it was moved to the Royal Museums. It was installed in the Palace of Versailles on the order of King Louis Philippe. Then in 1889, it was transferred to the Louvre. David was commissioned by American entrepreneurs to paint a full-size copy replica in 1808. He began work that year in 1808 and painted it from memory, but it took him quite a number of years to finish it, but it was completed in 1822. The replica was returned to France in 1947 to its original place in the Palace of Versailles. Next, we have Liberty Leading the People, or in French, La Liberté Guidant le People, was painted by the French artist Eugene Delacroix in the Romantic era. It commemorated the July Revolution of 1830 that toppled King Charles X. A bare-breasted woman of the people in a Phrygian cap personifying the concept and goddess of liberty, accompanied by a young boy brandishing a pistol in each hand, leads a group of various people forward over a barricade and the bodies of the fallen while holding aloft the flag of the French Revolution. The tricolor red, white, and blue, which again became France's national flag after these events in 1830. On one hand, a brandishing a bayonet musket, and in the other, the figure of liberty is also viewed as a symbol of France and the French Republic known as Mariana. The painting is sometimes wrongly thought to depict the French Revolution of 1789. When Delacroix painted this, he was the acknowledged leader of the French Romantic school, and Delacroix was born as the Enlightenment age was giving way to the ideas and the style of Romanticism, which rejected the emphasis on precise drawing, promoted freely brushed color. Delacroix started painting in 1830 and was exhibited at the official Paris Salon of 1831. Now we move on to the top three, and these are some of the most famous things at the Louvre and are more readily recognized, and most people have heard of these. The Winged Victory, or the Winged Victory of Samothrace, sometimes called the Nike of Samothrace, was discovered on the island of Samothrace in Greece in the Aegean Sea. It's a Greek sculpture from the Hellenistic era dating from 190 BCE in the 2nd century. It's composed of a statue representing the goddess Nike, or the goddess of victory. Her head and arms are missing, and it sits on a base in the shape of a ship's bow. The composition stands 18 feet and 3 inches tall, or 5.57 meters, and Nike itself measures 9 feet, or 2.75 meters. It's one of the few Hellenistic statues rather than a Roman copy. Winged Victory has been exhibited at the Louvre since 1884. And in number 2 place, we have Venus de Milo. Most people have heard of the Venus de Milo and are aware that it's in the Louvre. The Venus de Milo is also known as Aphrodite of Melos, and it's an ancient Greek marble sculpture created in the Hellenistic period between 160 and 110 BC. It was found on the island of Melos in the Cyclades in the Greek on April of 1820 and has been on display at the Louvre Museum since 1821. The Venus de Milo became a cornerstone of the Louvre's antiquities collection, and its fame spread through distribution in photographs and copies. It was crafted by Alexandros from Antioch, and since its discovery, it has become one of the most famous works of Greek sculpture in the world. The Venus de Milo depicts Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love, whose Roman counterpart was Venus. It was made of Parian marble and stands 6 feet 7 inches high. The statue is missing both arms. It depicts Aphrodite holding the apple of discord because a marble hand holding an apple was found beside it. The statue inspired over 70 poems, influenced 19th century art and surrealistic movement in the early 20th century, and has been featured in various modern artistic projects, including film and advertising. Upon its discovery, the Venus was considered a classical masterpiece, but has since been dated to the Hellenistic period. So, drum roll, the number one a most recognized must-see thing at the Louvre, and what we're going to end this video on is the Mona Lisa. So the Mona Lisa was created by the Italian artist Leonardo da Vinci, and it's said to be the best known, the most visited, and the most written about, and the most sung about, and the most parodied work of art in the world. It depicts an Italian noblewoman, Lisa del Giocondo, and is painted in oil on white poplar panel. It was painted between 1503 and 1506. King Francis I of France acquired the Mona Lisa after Leonardo's death in 1519. It is now the property of the French Republic. It has been on display in the Louvre since 1797. The painting's global fame and popularity, though, grew from its 1911 theft by Vincenzo Perugia, who stole it out of an Italian patriotism believing it should belong to Italy. It was recovered in 1914 and generated global publicity, which led to the 1950 opera Mona Lisa, 2 1930 films, The Theft of the Mona Lisa and Arsène Lupin, and the song Mona Lisa by Nat King Cole in the 1950s. The Mona Lisa is the most valuable painting in the world, holding the Guinness world record for the highest known painting insurance valuation in history at $100 million US in 1962, the equivalent of $1 billion as of 2023. So just so you get a sense, it takes about 30 minutes or so to get up to the Mona Lisa, and there's always a huge crowd in front of the Mona Lisa. So if you're going to go visit the Louvre, that's probably the one thing that you'll definitely want to see, and make sure you make enough time to get up there. And as you can see, people are jammed shoulder to shoulder. I was sweating by the time I got up there. But the good news is right on the other side of this is the wedding of Cana. So if you just turn around, you'll see another one of the most famous things in the Louvre as well. And a lot of the things are actually not far from each other in the Louvre, and you'll be able to quickly visit many of them together. So I've hoped that I've given you a sense of some of the most interesting things in the Louvre and the most famous things in the Louvre. It will take you many days to visit or see, just even to get a sense of all the things in the Louvre. This is my second trip to the Louvre, and there's a nearly endless number of things to see. And even though I've highlighted the 10 most famous things, I mean, there's no clunkers in the Louvre. Just about every work of art is a masterpiece, and some are just made more famous through publicity or its history or its provenance. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope you check out some of my other video logs. Have a great day.